It's great to see greatness at the quarterback position.
And how about this, Greeny? So who did Pittsburgh draft in the first round?
The Steelers?
Yes.
Well, in the third round, they drafted Mason Rudolph.
So Pittsburgh drafts Mason Rudolph, and Big Ben's not happy.
Right.
Y'all bring CJ here, I'm not happy.
I got you.
He's going to take my job one day.
Oh, I was like, where did he go? That was a long way to a weird ending.
I can't tell you. We've been trying to figure this out for 5 weeks, and we finally figured it out. Go ahead, you're all good.
He's doing a terrific job with this podcast. And in the
Can we talk some NBA?
Let's do that.
Can we talk Cavs sweeping, please?
Absolutely.
Was there any idea in your mind that this is where this Cavs team was headed, given how they started and how the playoffs started?
I felt like they had the star power, obviously, with LeBron, and I felt like Kevin Love would be able to impact this series. I didn't think it was going to be a sweep. I thought that it would go six or seven games, but Game 1 was very pivotal. They lost the Game 1 after leading for, I think they led the entire regulation. That was probably devastating to their mentality going forward.
So are you disappointed in what you're seeing from the Raptors? #1 seed. They had this team together a few years. They have 2 perennial all-stars. What about the level of play you've seen from this squad this series?
It was up and down. I think the play was up and down. Obviously, there was a situation where the coach decided not to play DeMar in the fourth quarter, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but it happened. I think overall the bench was great in the regular season. I think the bench was up and down. I think the Game 1 and Game 2 is what really changed the series. Van Fleet had 2 great looks from 3. If he knocks one of those down, this series is completely different. There's no talk about whether or not DeMar should have shot the mid-range jumper. No talk about the aggressiveness of Kyle Lowry early on in the series, although he got extremely aggressive down the stretch and it was efficient throughout the entire series. I think that losing at home, and we did it. We went through the same thing. You lose that Game 1 at home and you start thinking like, wow, we got to get Game 2. Then you drop Game 2. And you understand that, once you go down 3-0, as the Sixers were kind of discussing after the game, it's 129-0. You're basically done. So mentally, you're thinking about that. You might press a little bit, might force the action, get a little tight, and then the game changes.
I want to ask you, focus in on what you said about DeRozan being benched in that situation. Jalen said earlier today that's a relationship killer between a coach and a star player. When you're someone who they've ridden you all the way to the playoffs all season long, and now things aren't going well. The coach sits a star down. Can you take us inside that? What's the mentality of the player there? And is that something that you think between the star and the coach will be very difficult to remedy?
It's tough because as a competitor, as a leader of the team, you want to be out there in all circumstances, regardless of if you're playing great or playing poorly, and you feel like you have a body of work, and I'm sure he does. You've been an all-star multiple years. You performed in clutch situations down the stretch before in your career, so you feel like you've earned the right to play through slumps. I mean, personally, that's how I would feel. I don't care if I'm 0 for 20. I've earned the right to go 0 for 21, and we can live with that because of the body of work. So to have to go through that and then watch your team come back, I think he was okay with it because the team came back, but they end up losing. So in your mind, you're thinking that you could have impacted that game differently.
How about the fact that, look, I don't want to say there's some sort of a mental block or a curse or what have you, but we're talking about a Raptors team, and the entire lead up into this playoffs was it's a different team. They're the #1 seed, 59 wins. They're going to do something different this year. And not only did they not do something different, they lose again to the Cavs in a sweep.
Yeah.
How do we explain this?
I don't know if there's an explanation for it besides the fact that LeBron's been playing extremely well in the playoffs. I think somebody's put out statistics since 2011. His statistics have been off the charts. His efficiency, his ability to knock down, contested shots that you've seen the fadeaway 2 games ago, his ability to knock down clutch shots, under 5 seconds, under 10 seconds. He's been the roadblock for them, just as the Warriors were the roadblock for us 2 years in a row.
Let's talk about the Warriors then. Let's take it out west, which is where you play. And we look at Golden State, and it is my contention that if Steph stays healthy, and they are generally healthy, I would use the word prohibitive. As good as Houston has been all year, and I give them all the credit in the world, and whoever comes out of the East, I don't believe anyone can play and win 4 out of 7 games from Golden State if they're all healthy.
He said they ruined basketball.
I actually believe it ruined the sport for me because I feel like I know the ending. I love the plot. I love the story. I'm loving the movie. But I knew the ending before it even started. Tell me why I'm wrong.
No.
They didn't ruin basketball. I want to start by saying that anything is possible. KG said anything is possible. I think they can be dethroned, but it will be tough. It will be tough to beat them in the
What will it take? What beats them 4 out of 7 times?
You have to defend at a high level. You have to be able to sustain a high level of offensive star power for long periods of time, not just 20 minutes, not just 30 minutes. You have to be able to withstand that third quarter run they're going to go on. And you see Steve Kerr's not playing around anymore. They lost the game. What did he do? He changed the lineup. He's like, all right, we don't have time to mess around. We need our guys to be rested heading into the potential Western Conference Finals. So once they play that lineup, I think Houston matches up well with them with the additions of Mbamute. You got PJ Tucker, so you can go small when they start Iggy, when they start KD at the 4 with Draymond at the 5. You can match up with them, but then it's about being able to sustain those runs. And like I told KD when I talked to him, he's the difference in that team. He's the one that takes them over the hump. Down the stretch, he can score over bigs and he can score over guards.
Did you feel some type of way that KD, once he lost with OKC, being up 3-1, joined the Warriors, the 73-win team, now all of a sudden put the game in a position, as he mentioned it, to ruin the game, like the Warriors are basically unbeatable, now that he joined a team that probably could have been a rival of his?
They're not unbeatable. I'll start by saying that. They're a very, very good team, experienced, and they execute well and seem to have a unwavering amount of confidence down the stretch. But I told him I wasn't happy with the decision he made, but he's a grown man. When you have a chance to do something that you feel is best for yourself, then you do it. When people leave jobs, Draymond talked about it. People leave jobs as CEOs. They want to jump companies. Maybe they go to the competitor. No one says anything about it. So although I did voice my displeasure of it, I told him. I talked to him with friends, so he understands how I feel about it. But at the end of the day, he's a grown man who has to do what's best for Kevin Durant, not what's best for CJ, not what's best for NBA fans. He got to do what's best for him and his brand.
Now, listen, I want to make it clear, and I was talking about this on my previous show at the time. I have no problem with him doing what he wants to do. Fortunately, I think the result was a team that is just so good that I don't see anybody beating them as long as they stay healthy. I think they could go. I genuinely believe they can go on a run based upon salary cap and things like that. That could be 3, 4, 5 years where they are just prohibitively the best team in the sport.
Houston has home court advantage. James may win MVP. Do you think they have a realistic shot of beating Golden State?
I think they have a realistic shot for sure. I just think that.
What's a realistic shot? 50%?
I'm not going to put a percentage on it. I think they can beat the Warriors. They've shown they can beat them in regular season. Obviously, with the addition of CP, it changes the dynamic of that team. But you realize the fact that they just got together. They haven't been together long. So when things don't go right, how will they react?
That's what we're waiting to see.
All right, CJ is here. Now that we've gotten his perspective on the rest of the league, we're going to turn up the heat because, as you can already tell, this guy is a magnificent broadcaster waiting to happen after his career ends. So Jalen's going to take him over to the touchscreen.
Oh, no.
Yes, indeed.
We're doing a little breaking down here. We will break down CJ's game as well. You're watching Get Up on ESPN. Thanks for starting your day right here.
Began since the 76 merger. Hembo setting the minimum at 500 games played. Jalen, can you name the other two?
I didn't rebound. Let the big fella guess.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Dwight Howard is here, ladies and gentlemen. Dwight Howard is here.
You want to guess point?
Do I have a guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, man.
So since 76, 12 rebounds, 500 games played. Who are the guys that you saw getting boards growing up? 12 plus per game.
I'm going to 76.
Since 76.
Since 76.
Yeah, so anytime between 76 and now.
You could just I think one you can just guess.
I want to
I'll
say
guess
Moses
one.
Malone and Dennis Rodman.
Oh, he got it! He got it!
Way to go, Hembo! Way to go, Hembo! If you didn't notice, 8-time All-Star Dwight Howard is here right now joining us and nailed the trivia.
And I'll say this, big fella.
I didn't know that.
I just tell you, think about people that was boarding when you were growing up.
You're already way better than he is. So, I mean, you know.
He didn't rebound.
I told you.
So all right, so you're here. We want to talk some Cavs Raptors. I am always interested in hearing what guys playing in the league want to talk about LeBron because there were some naysayers. And yet here we are, LeBron dragging his team through these playoffs, sweeping Toronto. His supporting cast has been awakened. But do you buy that now everything's good with this Cleveland squad as we head into the conference finals?
Well, I just thought that they needed time to really build some chemistry. But other than that, you got LeBron James. He's playing great basketball this season. Their whole team is playing really good. I'm surprised to see Kevin Love is playing as well as he's been playing. But other than that, the Cavs, they got the best player in the world, and he's been playing like it. So I'm really upset that Toronto got swept. Yeah, I thought it was going to be better.
Now, you've been playing against LeBron for a really long time. Here he is at 33, and as you just mentioned, he's playing as well as he ever has. Can you describe, as an opponent, how he has evolved his game? How is he different now than he was when he was a young player in Cleveland back when you were in Orlando?
Well, I don't really think I think he shoots a lot better. I think his jump shot is a lot better. But other than that, he's LeBron. You know, he's going to get to the basket. He's going to finish. He's going to dunk on a lot of guys. And he seemed like he put a lot of fear in the Raptors. You know, I thought Serge and Valanciunas were really going to dominate the inside, and LeBron just ate them apart.
What about your level of disappointment for the Raptors? A #1 seed, they've been in the playoffs with this same group multiple years.
Right.
To get swept back-to-back seasons, even though the Cavs have LeBron. Just talk about it, somebody that's been in the league all year. Like, did you expect a better showing from this squad?
I expected more. I expected more. You know, playing against the Raptors all year, those guys were tough, and it was hard to even score on those guys. You know, because you got Serge, you got Valanciunas, and then you got OG, the Star Wars character. He's pretty tall. He's playing great basketball. So I was really shocked to see them get swept by the Cavs.
All right, now out west, we've got the Rockets that are sort of beelining into Golden State, and we'll see if they're able to get over that hump. Daryl Morey has made no secret about Houston's obsession with the Warriors over the years. Of course, he spent some time in Houston. So as you look at what they've done out there and you see these two teams and play against them all year, do you think Houston, we're sort of fast forwarding to the finals of the conference now here, do you think Houston is able to give Golden State a real scare or maybe even beat them? You do?
I think so.
How so?
I think when we played them in the Eastern or the Western Conference Finals a couple years ago, I think that lit a fire into James. You know, he was very upset at how that season ended, and he came back the next season. And the year after that, he's gotten better every single year. You know, so I think because of him alone, you know, they have a chance. But then you add a guy like Chris Paul, then you got Trevor Ariza. They got a great bench now. They got really good wing defenders. And I think that's going to be the key. You got to have somebody that's big and strong enough to handle a guy like Kevin Durant. You're not going to stop him. He's still going to score. But they have multiple guys that can step up and guard Kevin Durant.
Now, I wonder sometimes about the pressure that's on these guys. We talk about the Raptors. We know about their history of failure in the playoffs. And it seemed as though they were tight at times perhaps here. And you look at James, who's your team, again, brilliant regular seasons. But we know the playoffs have not been kind to him. And Chris Paul really has a similar history. So how much pressure is on those guys? And how, as an active player, how do you handle that? How do those players handle that spotlight?
Man, you got to just go out there and just play. It's once in a lifetime, you know. It's a lot of guys who played in this NBA, Jalen can attest to it, who've never made it to the playoffs. So when you get an opportunity to make it to the playoffs and do damage, you get a chance to play in the Western Conference Finals, you got to take advantage of that moment. You know, I thought going to the finals in Orlando, I saw the blueprint. I was like, oh, man, I can go every year. This is it. But I haven't been since, you know, so it's very hard to get to that level. So I would just say, you know, for James and his crew, this is their moment. You know, it'd be tough to. I don't know if I could watch them win a championship, but this is their moment. They've been playing great all year. Chris Paul, James, Clint Capella has had an amazing year. Their whole team, you know, Trevor, you got Joe Johnson, you got Mike D'Antoni. You know, I'm happy for him. You know, so. It's going to be a tough series, but I think if they play 48 minutes every night, they can win.
I know hindsight is 2020. You had a terrific year this season in Charlotte, but since you left Orlando, it's been a couple of teams trying to find your way. You had your most success in Orlando when Stan Van Gundy was your coach who just got let go by Detroit. So any regrets on how your situation ended in Orlando?
No regrets. I think everything happens for a reason. I've learned and I've grown since then. I was 18 when I went to the Magic. I was basically a little kid, you know. And I think out of all those years, I think experience and opportunity as a basketball player is what you need. And in Orlando, I had my best opportunity because what was given to me, I was in the right system. I had the right pieces around me. And the other teams I went to, the opportunity just isn't the same. And as you know, the NBA is all about opportunity and system. You look at a guy like Rondo. He's been bouncing around from team to team. He's still that same Rondo. He got an opportunity this year, and he's getting 20 assists in games, and he's made their offense look amazing playing against them, I'm like, man, Anthony Davis, all he got to do is run and jump. He doesn't have to really do a lot of moves, and he's scoring at will, you know, so it's always about opportunity and system.
Is that still out there for you? In your mind, do you believe that opportunity, the right place and the right system is out there for you to be back on that stage again?
No doubt. I think this year in Charlotte, it really opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I think the years that I've had before Charlotte, it really just kind of woke up the inner Dwight, I would say, and I'm like, man, I'm really excited about next season to go out there and dominate.
Who was the inner Dwight?
Man, I think I lost a little bit of the passion that I have for the game because of the business side of it, and I think every NBA player can attest to that.
Yes.
That the business side can cause you to really lose some passion. I know a lot of people like, how? You're getting paid millions of dollars, but for Jalen and myself, the game is much bigger than just the dollar amount. You know, we love having money in our pockets and being able to travel the world, but we want to win and we want to be able to show the world our talents. And I think I lost some of that passion for the game.
Can you go a little bit deeper and say when you lost the passion? Because for me, like getting traded a couple of times, being bounced around, trying to find that system, trying to find happiness, and sometimes your minutes doesn't match your contract and things are like that. So when did you lose the passion?
I would say after the situation in Orlando, where everybody felt as though I was this big, mean, crazy guy that I just wanted to destroy franchises, and I go to LA and it seemed like me and Kobe didn't work. I lost some of that passion then. You know, I'm like, man, I had back surgery. I wasn't supposed to play for a whole year. I came back, tore my labrum, still played, and just seemed like I couldn't find a break. So I kind of lost some of that passion.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Like, how do you get that back? Because you know that the labels that have followed you around, and when you say things like that, like you want to destroy franchises or coaches or what have you, how do you get past those types of labels?
Oh, man. What I did was first I started to watch a lot of YouTube videos of my younger self to see how I was when I was at my peak. And then I just got in the gym. You know, I would say when I went to Atlanta, I just started to go around different gyms and just playing basketball and just watching people play. And I just went back to that moment that got me to where I am today. And that kind of just boosted my confidence and also my passion for the game.
So to sort of circle it back to where the conversation began, though, you said you don't really have regrets. Is there any part of it that you would like to go back and do over again? Is if you had the opportunity to? I understand.
I would just say being able to voice myself. You know, I think throughout all the years, I just allowed people to say whatever they want, and now everybody has their opinion of who I am, and that's really not who I am as a person or a player. So that's the only regret. But I think everything always happens for a reason, and I will always stick by that. My time in Orlando was kind of like everybody was just giving things to me. It was all yes people, not just the people around me, but just everybody. And I felt like I was just too comfortable. And I think sometimes in life you got to go through experiences and get out your comfort zone to get to where you really need to get to.
It's a great conversation. We're going to continue it in a moment. Dwight Howard is here, and he will stay with us as we go. I would also like to mention very quickly that we have Wednesday